All right, we have another poem. So let's jump straight into this one. This one is titled Disappointment. Hopefully, again, we can use that as a guide to help us out as we're processing this. Somebody's disappointed, somebody is creating disappointing situations. Let's see where it's going. It's a poem. It's long. It's two pages long, or 1 3/4 page long. So at the same time, I don't think it's as conceptually deep as some others go. And if we look at this thematically, disappointment is hopefully going to be the running theme here in some shape or form. So we're going to do a usual. We're going to rip this apart and then try to piece it back together again. All right. So I am stuck to a kitchen chair, and the windows are steamed up as my aunt cooks breakfast. So again, this is another example where embankment is used. Enjambment, where we kind of want to read this one line at a time, but it's actually one whole full sentence. So, I am stuck to a kitchen chair and the windows are steamed up and my aunt cooks breakfast. Versus, I am stuck to a kitchen chair. Stop, think about it. And the windows are steamed up. Stop, think about it. And my aunt cooks breakfast. So it's almost like this bullet points. Stuck to chair, windows steamed, aunt cooks breakfast, right? That kind of a thing. All right, so we don't know who the author is. It says I. All right, so we don't know any clue what might be going on here at all. The Chicago Tribune, which is a newspaper, but you kind of don't particularly need to know that, lies on the kitchen table, but I do not touch it. So when I'm reading, I ask why. Why would you not touch it? What's wrong with reading a newspaper or something? Is it dirty? Is something bad happened that day that you don't want to see the news? What? Okay. I hear my uncle starting to climb downstairs. The normal type guy climbing upstairs, coming on his bad leg, one step at a time. So there's maybe a little drama right here. Is this being mentioned for dramatic effect? And is this why the person's not reading the newspaper? Right there, he's in the kitchen, or whoever it is in the kitchen, and the aunt's cooking, and the person is basically sitting there, quiescent, quiet, and not moving. And then we almost have this background music, dum 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 dum, bum ba dum. I did that badly, but and then the uncle's walking down the stairs. That's almost the music, boom 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 boom, something like that. So is that drama, or is this happenstance? Is this not related to what's going on or not? So we need to get that resolved somehow here. Okay, so that's the first stanza. The second, I am the nephew here to be taken to the dentist. Oh, okay. So is that what's going on up there? Not sure. Okay. Others have sat in this chair waiting to be taken to the office. And I sit quietly. I'm a 12-year-old. So we have a 12-year-old boy. It's the nephew, and obviously know it's the uncle. And the uncle is apparently going to bring the boy to the dentist, I guess, knowing nothing of small talk. So again, the 12-year-old boy is avoiding any interaction. I assume because they're scared to go to the dentist. So is that a safe assumption here? And if we tie that back to the title, does something go awry with that? Let's try to kind of see. And if you notice the way the lines are being laid out in the sentences, it's almost erratic. And this reads less poetic in terms of rhyming and cadence, which is like meter, pattern, stuff like that, in terms of even how we say it. All right, so it's almost paragraphy. Paragraph form, even though the author is using the enjambment to split up the notions, really making sure where he's emphasizing each little part to make that effect coming about here. What would my cousin be saying now? There must be something to say. And my uncle appears. So at this point, the uncle's finally in the kitchen. The person, if they're scared, is kind of spooked out, I guess, and they're trying to figure out what their cousin would say, who I guess is the child of the uncle and the aunt. So they're, for loss of words, they're kind of semi-panicking, if you will, perhaps. He is a man once tall. The uncle they're talking about? Now slightly stooped and tilted to his strong side. So this is re-emphasizing over here that we had the bad leg. All right, so it's definitely talking about the uncle wearing a blue shirt and a bow tie. So he looks nice. Obviously, he's so-called professional, right? I just put pro here. His fine white hair combed straight back and still damp. So apparently he either took a bath or a shower, or he wet his hair to slick it back or something. All right. He winks at me, and I say, "Good morning, uncle." So the uncle is in good spirits and seems to be taking care of the nephew. And the only thing he can say back is good morning, uncle. They eat oatmeal, I drink milk. All right. So it's very a rigorous dialogue going on here. Again, if the person's scared, I can kind of get it. All right. So 3, we park a long way from the office and walls. So I'm assuming they're talking about the nephew and the uncle, and the office would be the dentist's office, I suppose. My uncle is careful climbing curbs, but I know better than to try to help. All right. So what's going on here is it sounds like the uncle's proud, despite having the bad leg. And the uncle is careful walking up from the street to the sidewalk and things like that. Right? It didn't say going up the stairs. It said up the curb. Right? So the uncle takes care of walking, basically. So he may not be the fastest walker either, even though it doesn't say that. We enter the Upton building. Through the drugstore, its aisles still wet and smelling of ammonia. So there's a couple stuff going on right here. If I'm not mistaken, this is a building in Chicago. I would compare it to the Flatiron building in Manhattan, if you know what that is. The Flatiron building has like a triangular thing, and it's on, what was that, 14th Street? So this building, even though it doesn't have that shape, it kind of gives me that same image. And it's an office building, right? So apparently the basement has a drugstore, and it's smelling of ammonia. So a lot of students don't quite know what that's about. So ammonia is a cleaning agent that's in like if you mop the floor or something, you're going to probably use bleach or ammonia. So it sounds like maybe the store just opened or something, and they're just cleaning the store out before the store opens up or something like that. And of course, because so let's continue. I watch as each one we pass smiles. Each one who? Each one who, right? Okay. Morning, Doc. How you feeling? They all know him. So the uncle is a doctor, and most likely he's the dentist. All right. So if the uncle's the dentist, he's bringing his nephew to his office, maybe to pull a cavity or something like that. All right. So and then everybody in the Uptown building knows who the uncle is, and apparently going back to saying he's professional before and a nice guy and all that stuff, everybody at least respects him. And it seems like everybody's happy to be there. They're smiling, how you going, Mr. Whatever, and so on, right? And again, he looks professional. He's apparently dressed well and so on. So, and then stanza number 4, I stand the 11th floor hall. So they go up the building. My uncle fishes for his keys. Aaron Schwartz, DDS. So he's definitely the dentist. All right. And the hall is getting shabby. So the building might be a little beat up or something. I'm not quite sure how that fits into the story. The doctor is in. That little sign, the office, right? So he apparently puts a sign in saying he's available because now they're there. The office is frosted glass. Remember terror. So this is a little. This is again getting into drama here, and it's kind of maybe a heads up, and I'll just say it's a turning point from a literary perspective, a literary device, where the author's talking casually. We know we don't know. We think they might be scared, and they throw that in there. All right. So the dentist office is going to orchestrate Remember Terror, and then furniture for some Victorian parlors. So apparently there's nice furniture, but it sounds like it's old. Okay. My uncle whistling Beethoven. You know, he was a great classical musician. The Sound of Water. My uncle fills the Upton National Bank building. All right, so this is still the same building they're talking about. I think there's a bank at the lobby or something there, I guess in addition to the pharmacy. And I believe that's still the case, although I think it's a different bank. So we basically have the story starting out that there seems to be at least a nervous kid in the kitchen. His uncle comes down, and eventually they make their way into Chicago. And we don't know how far they live from it. It doesn't say what their journey was about. So, and then I guess the uncle's going to work on the kid's mouth. So let's see how that goes. He stands at the window in his office whistling. Oh, and I want to kind of say more about that up here. So, so the uncle is comfortable being the dentist, and the uncle seems to be happy. He's about to look at his nephew's mouth, and I guess that brings him joy, right? So my uncle stands at the window in the office whistling, so he's still whistling. And the fact that he fills up the building, that doesn't mean he's like a giant, but maybe he's whistling so loud that they can hear him. We also know that everybody in the pharmacy knew him, so it might mean his presence in the building is a good one. I grew up in Brooklyn and stuff, and we like to call people like, there was this one guy who was always everywhere. So we called him the mayor of the block. So I have a feeling this is maybe metaphorical, kind of leaning on that everybody knew the doctor, not only just as a dentist, but probably as a good person. And when he was in, the building was, all thumbs up or whatever. So that kind of a thing. So he stands at the window. He's still whistling. He has his back to me, and he's drying his hand. So he cleans his hand to, I guess, do a procedure to the kid. I am trapped in the chair. Okay, so this is actually being repeated because if we come back up to here, I am stuck in the chair. So the author is using repetition there as a literary device, and the whistling as well, and also the greeting of the uncle and everybody basically giving the uncle some respect, including the nephews giving him the respect. So I am trapped in the chair and I have abandoned hope. So again here, if the nephew continues, there's definitely a turning point because everything's kind of small and it's bringing it up to this climax. Like the more and more we know, the dentist. Finally, maybe he's going to pull his tooth or something like that. So let's see what happens. My uncle turns, right? Again, drama. It's not just my uncle was there and he was like, we're going to work on your teeth, right? So, well, Kiplinger, let's take a look. And he gives his cigarette to the ashtray. So he was smoking apparently, and he puts his cigarette down. A hand appears out of the corner of my eyes. So what does that mean, right? So the kid is probably tensed up, and he doesn't want to look at the uncle. He's kind of afraid about what's going to happen, perhaps. So he kind of sees the hand because he kind of doesn't want to see what's going on, and maybe he's looking up at the ceiling, some kind of thing like that. And then large. So his hands were large. They were stained with nicotine. Is my uncle's hand. So again, is the author doing this because they're scared and they're trying to just like spook themselves even further? Like sometimes when you start freaking out, you can kind of spiral out of control with your freak out notion. And then He notices that the hand is holding something long and silver. So sometimes they have a thing with like a mirror at the end of it. Sometimes they have a thing with a little hook thing at the end of it. Sometimes they have a thing with a little razor on it. Or sometimes it's the drill, zzz, that thing. So we don't exactly know what they have here. And again, I look straight ahead. So I was saying maybe the person was looking up. Mouth open, head back. So again, they're staring at the ceiling, scared, I assume. Right? I see the sky blue and mocking me. Right? So kind of like everybody, even the sky knows what's about to happen. Right? So, he's going to get his tooth pulled or something like that, and he doesn't really want it to happen. Hear his whistling. So the dentist is still nonchalant and cavalier and just meandering about through this, doing this procedure. While the nephew is freaking out, his uncle is having the time of his life because he's a dentist and that's what he likes to do. So, and it's probably even annoying the kid because he's like, I'm freaking out and he's okay, kind of a thing. So he grips the chair, determined to show no feeling. All right, so I think that part there becomes interesting. So I'm just going to emphasize that it says no feels. All right, why does he want to do that? Okay, in fact, I'll say why there as well. Why is that important? I think it comes full circle, and we'll see in a minute why. Then there is the flash of hurt. So whatever happens, he fills a cavity, he pulls the teeth, he's scraping around. I grip the chair. So he's repeating, he grips the chair, I grip the chair again, okay? I am stoic among my uncle's patients. I am a butterfly on a pin. All right, so here we're getting really metaphorical. I'm just put met there. So the procedure's finally happening. The kid is definitely freaking out at this point. And now if we kind of just pause right, I'm going to just put a P, and we go back to the beginning of the passage, we find this is something the author is leading all the way up to this point where he's at the table. He doesn't read the newspaper. Why? Because he's scared. He's stoic, right? He's listening to the thumps of his uncle going up and down the stairs. Why? Because he's scared, right? Others have sat in this chair waiting to be taken, right? He thinks he's like a victim at this point, right? And then what would my cousin have said, right? So it's leading us through all that kind of stuff like that. And then finally had the breakfast and they leave there. So this is like in the mind of the nephew, this is leading all up to that kind of a thing, all right? So, and then stoic, I don't think that's a vocabulary, but stoic means like he's trying to be emotionless. And if we tie it back to the title of the passage, disappointment, it could be that he doesn't want his uncle to get mad at him. He doesn't want to be embarrassed in front of his uncle. He wants to seem like he's a great patient, right? I am stoic among my uncle's patients. So whereas other people have cried out or felt the pain, I'm just going to be the best nephew I could possibly be because I want to have my uncle proud of me for having this procedure and so on or whatever. And I am a butterfly on a pin. So there's two contexts of butterfly and a pin I can think of. Actually, there's three. One is we have a pin and we have a butterfly at the top of it, okay? I don't think it's that, okay? And this is like how many angels can dance on the head of a pin thing. I don't think it's that. We also have what is basically a brooch. We could have a butterfly jewelry, and in the back there's a pin that you can put onto your coat or whatever. It could be that. And then there's also a butterfly on a pin, which is that if you're a butterfly collector, you'll have a butterfly. And normally it's tacked onto the board with all these beautiful butterflies with a pin. All right. I think it's that definition they're talking about, where basically at that point the butterfly is dead and it's trapped, and now it's stuck on the board, right? So I think that's kind of where the author's going here? I am stoic. I am expressionless, right? Among my uncle's patients. I am a butterfly on a pin. I'm done for. I'm trapped. And the only thing I do there is play dead, right? That's kind of, I think, where the author's going there, right? So that was, this would be past stanza 6. This would be past stanza 7. And that'll be the last stanza there. So I endure. So we last through the procedure. I am squeezing the arms of the dentist chair like a stiff, okay? So a stiff is like a dead person, a corpse, okay? So he's frozen, but he's, right? That kind of a thing. So while in the soft plume of my mouth, the drill grinds and grinds. So that's like the cheek part, and maybe even he's talking about the lower jaw part, the fleshy parts and so on. That if you rip a tooth out, that's what's below it. I forget what that's called. But he says I endure, but he's talking about the drill is still going on, all right? I watched the wires flap. So now the person is going to continue to freak out and basically get themselves even more whacked out about it. So I watched the wires flap. I watched the drill wind. I watched the drill grind. I want for it to stop. I will want for it to stop. I give nothing away. I stop, right? So I'll show nothing. So as much as he wants it to stop, he's going to remain stoic. And again, so this goes back to the disappointment. It sounds like he doesn't want the uncle to know it's annoying him. At the same time, I would think the uncle knows that, because that's the standard procedure. I don't like to get my teeth done. I don't like to, who wants that, right? So, but sometimes it's something you need to do. So, anyway, he's trying to be the best nephew he can, I guess. So that is kind of the climax. The drama just keeps increasing, right? It'll stop. Water trickles near my ear. My eyes are in the empty sky. So this person is basically playing dead, and they're just staring at the space, trying to ignore what's going on. And then they re-emphasize. This is almost like a testimony. I am 12 years old. I am my uncle's favorite nephew, right? I will not be a disappointment. So there we go. That is what's going on. He wanted to be the best nephew possible. All right? All right, so I'm going to do my usual. I'm going to stop this here and then continue it. You guys should not know the difference. So, okay, let's bring the questions into this. Let me make sure they're lined up. Yeah, that's question 31. All right, so these are not as bad. At the same time, it was a poem. There was a message that the author wanted to tell us about not being a disappointment against the uncle. But it wasn't too deep. That said, remember the reading comprehension is not just about the reading comprehension of the passage. There's also the reading comprehension of the question and the reading comprehension of the choices. And in some ways, if you're doing this for a test, you're being tested on answering the question correctly, not particularly on reading the passage, right? So you have to say, well, you can't answer the questions correctly without reading the passage. All true, but I think we can put too much emphasis on the passage. And remember, the questions and the choices are still part of what needs to be comprehended here. So it has to be all three together. So the speaker does not touch his aunt and uncle's copy of the newspaper, right? So this gets back to the beginning. Hold on. And let me change the color of the pen. So that's here, the Chicago Tribune stuff. So the speaker does not touch that. Why? Because so now it should be clear. When you originally read it, it was speculative, but at this point we know he wants to be the best nephew we can. So he does not know how to read. So that might be true, but we have no indication that that's the truth. He's busy drinking milk. No, he drinks milk later when the uncle comes down. So at this point, that's not the case either. They are late to get to the dentist. Well, the uncle is the dentist, and they could have been late, but that's not that. He's uncomfortable, he's nervous, he's scared. Yeah, it's that. And then we have to rule out he is talking to his aunt. No, he's not talking to his aunt. He was stoic then too, right? So that wasn't the case there. So if you can see, so now it all makes sense. This one clicks. It was a longer passage. We kind of had to wait through all the drama to get to the point to understand what it was about, right? The topic and the main idea. So in stanza 2 and 3, so that's these guys here, right? Let me get this lined up. Yeah. The uncle is depicted as what? All right, so a lot of students have a lot of problem with this. Certainly through the whole passage, he's friendly, and the fact that he greets the nephew on line 17, and he winks at him, and the kid says, good morning, Uncle back. And we also have backed up that the people in the Upton building like him as well. He's also dressed professionally and all this other stuff. So he's definitely friendly. I mentioned he was proud a number of times, and I think he's even proud here. He's aging, so we know from the first paragraph that he's got a bad leg and so on. That doesn't imply aging, but we know he's not a teenager or whatever. So we can certainly do it because it says depicted. I think the author's trying to paint a picture here of somebody who's past middle age or something like that. So yes, and he's definitely professional. All right. So that leans on all the above. Now, some students argue the aging part. They argue the friendly part. They argue the professional part. But it's unequivocal that, first of all, that's the spirit of the uncle through the whole passage. And even if we didn't read after these paragraphs, right, because it's including 3. It's not just talking about 2. It's talking about him being in the office building at this point. So a lot is going on. And, yeah, we can definitely grok all that at that point, especially the pride part. So, if we also come full circle, even though it's not about stanza 2 and 3, the fact that the nephew is trying so hard to impress the uncle, if you will, shows that the uncle is a proud man, and the nephew kind of wants to honor that, if you will. All right, so that is how we can kind of figure something like that. Now, in stanza 4, they get to the office, and everything's fine, and then it talks about frosted glass and remembered terror, right? So, and then even stuff like the sound of water. This almost sounds like a setup for a horror movie, right? If you want to, the author could have gone that direction. They didn't. But let's see. The question may not even be relating to that. The speaker reveals what? The concern that his office is old. I think the author is talking about the state of the hallway and the office, but I don't think the author's concerned about that. I think the author's more concerned about getting this procedure done to himself. So it's not going to be the fear of going to the dentist. Yeah, that seems to be it. I'm even going to circle at this point. Pride that the uncle's a dentist. So I do think that's true, but we're talking about what's going on here, right? So in paragraph 4, stanza 4, they're talking about this is Aaron Swartz's office, right? He's well known. Everybody in the building likes him, right? That kind of a thing. So we get a good feel about him. So he does have pride that the uncle is there, but at the same time, he throws in that frosted glass and remembered terror thing. So that's a little minor part of it, but it's actually significant. All right. So even though he's proud, that's not the revelation here. And it's really not till the end that we get that revelation strongly. So D, appreciates the classic music. So we know his uncle is whistling the Beethoven, but no, that's not what this is about. And enjoyment of old-fashioned things. So the Victorian furniture kind of thing. No, that's not it. The guy's jumping out of his skin because he doesn't want his uncle to do any procedure on him. All right, so that's pretty much that one. 34 longest. Let me just make sure that's fully on the screen. Yeah, 34 is on the screen. Okay. All right. So when the speaker says uncle fills the building, line 33. Where did that go? Wait, my cursor's lost. Right here. My uncle fills the building right there. All right, so I talked about that, saying he wasn't a giant and things like that. So his uncle has a big presence. Yeah, everybody likes him. Everybody knows him. He's the mayor of the building, so that's a great choice. His uncle owns the building. That could be true, but I doubt it. We have no indication whatsoever there. We can't do any. We don't have any clues to synthesize an inference from that. His uncle's waiting room is crowded. No, we get no notion of that at all. His uncle has hired everyone who works there. Okay, that's ridiculous, so it's not that. And his uncle is overweight, and that's why he fills up the building. That's insulting and derogatory and demeaning, and it's not the answer either. All right, so his uncle has a large presence. Everybody knows him. He's professional, and they're all proud of him. So that's 34. 35. As the poem continues, the speaker views his uncle more and more as what? All right, so this one, is his uncle being described as being neat? Not particularly, so it doesn't seem to be the answer. Wise? You might argue the uncle's playing it cool to not freak out the kids, so maybe that. Okay, so we'll tilde that. Scary. Yeah, there's a little bit of that, even though, so this could be scary dramatically, not that he's like, I'm gonna rip your mouth apart or something, right? Not to that level. Affectionate. At the same time, the uncle does seem to be caring, so there's that. And the uncle doesn't seem to be worried. If he was worried, he would be saying, "Are you okay?" And he probably wouldn't be whistling so casually. So we need to tie break whether the uncle's wise, scary, or affectionate. So wisdom. So given that this is about being disappointing to the uncle, and that's the underlying tenet tied into the main idea, it seems to me that scary is the one that leaps out, which is odd because he's trying to impress the uncle. But the wisdom of the uncle and the affection of the uncle might come about because the uncle recognizes that what's going to happen is scary, and therefore he's being almost personified as scary, right? We're using that in a very esoteric way. The author doesn't do that. I'm saying that. So the uncle's a person. I'm saying he almost personified the uncle as a scary person, right? So there's a comparison going on there, all right? So 36. When the speaker says he's stoic, so I talked about the word stoic a few times here. We're here. So at this point, and again, you have to figure this out by context. Among his uncle's patients, he means that what? He does not want to complain to his uncle. Yeah, he's being neutral, so that would make sense. Does not look at other patients. We don't know any other patients there. It sounds like they're the first two patients there. He may have even brought him on a weekend or something when he was closed, all right? So it doesn't seem to be that. Waits patiently for his turn. No, he's in the chair and he's getting the procedure, so that is not what stoic means. He does not feel pain. No, we're told he does feel the pain. And he wants it to stop, and he literally says it hurts. And he admires his uncle's talent. I don't think that thought crossed his mind at the point because he's just trying to impress his uncle and not be an embarrassment and just get the thing over with. So it means he's not complaining. He just wants to get this over and impress his uncle. All right, so there's that. The speaker describes his mouth as a soft plum, line 53. Right there. We talked about that. To suggest that it is purple. So is it kind of beat up already? Because a plum is normally a purplish color. Or is bleeding or something? No. I think he's annoyed that he might get cut or something like that. So there's that. Brittle? No, teeth are brittle, but the plume of your mouth is not particularly brittle. Rotten. Okay, so his teeth might be rotten, but the plume's not going to be rotten, okay? Vulnerable. All right, so if this the soft, fleshy part of your mouth, he doesn't want the drill to touch that. So that seems to be a great answer. And then we already ruled out A, B, and C, so it can't be all the above. All right, so again, these questions are not particularly too bad. And line 55 through 57. We have the drill whines and grinds. I'll wait for it to stop. It will have to stop. I'll give away nothing. It'll stop. I'll show nothing. So no matter what happens, the kid's going to just remain stoic. The speaker reveals how he what? Sings to himself. So no, the uncle's whistling Beethoven, but nobody's singing. Watches his uncle. So no, he's not watching his uncle. He's staring on the ceiling and out the window or whatever. So that's not it. He speaks to his uncle. So we have no context. There's any dialogue here. So it's not that. Will advise his younger cousins. So no, he was trying to figure out, and that was earlier in the story, what his cousins would be doing if they were going to the dentist, that kind of a thing, and how to make small talk with the aunt and uncle before he left, kind of a thing. And then tries to prove himself to his uncle. And that's it. And it's, even though this is referring to 55 through 57, it's those last three lines where the nephew is being defiant almost at that point, like, I am going to get through this. I am going to impress my uncle. I am not going to be a disappointment, right? So that kind of a thing. So that is that one. And then the last question, at the end of the poem, the speaker feels what? Indifferent? Well, I think he's annoyed and he has some indifferences, but I think he doesn't want to be the disappointment. So he's embarrassed. He might partially be indifferent. He might partially be embarrassed. Although he thinks he's hiding it, so probably it's safe to remove that. He's disappointed. So he doesn't want to be a disappointment. So I don't think he's disappointed. And because he's staying stoic and he's not breaking character, if you will, I don't think he's disappointed in himself. I think he's proud of himself and proud of his uncle. He's relieved. I suppose if he successfully did it, right? But as the story ends, the procedure doesn't seem like it's particularly completed yet. So, although I would imagine he would definitely be relieved, right? So, but it says the speaker feels relieved. No, the speaker's being pretty defiant at the end of this. So the speaker's determined, all right? He's like, I'm going to impress my uncle. There's no choice. There's no alternative here. All right, so that is what's going on there. All right, so that's the last question on that one. And we'll do some more. All right, see you guys. Bye.